Yeah, that's a bit.
Yeah.
If you wanna be part of the success, then you've got to be involved and you've got to take some degree of accountability. But for me, I completely agree with you. Accountability is a two-way thing. We've got to hold our teams accountable and help them be accountable, but we have to be accountable. Leadership defines culture. So if we want a culture of accountability, we have to be accountable. And I've worked with a lot of bosses who want everybody else to be accountable. But when it comes to them, all they're interested in doing is going, oh, yeah, you're accountable. And if it goes wrong, you're to blame. Yeah, but I work for you. And
Yeah.
your boss is looking at you. You can't kind of go, it was him. You're in the firing line. So let me ask you a question before we get further into accountability. Do you know the difference between accountability and responsibility?
Oh, well, to me, the more or less the same, right?
No. If you look in
Uh,
the English dictionary, if you look
okay.
under accountability, it will say blah, 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 see responsibility. And under responsibility, it will say blah, 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 see accountability. But accountability and responsibility are different. And I do think as leaders, we have to define what we believe it to be and share that so we've got a common view. And for me, responsibility is about the execution of the task.
Okay.
So in a football game, the footballers are responsible for tackling, passing, defending, shooting.
Very specific actions.
The actions involved,
Yeah.
they are not accountable for the outcome. The manager is accountable for the outcome. He's the one that selected the team, selected the tactics, trained them, prepared them, during the game can make substitutions. So
Mhm.
accountable is you're accountable for the outcome, and you might not be involved in any of the specific
Yeah.
execution. So if you're a manager of a team, the team are responsible for doing the work, but you're accountable for the outcome.
Okay.
And the reason why it's important to make that definition is because what I tend to do then is I'll break it down. And it might be that you can say you're accountable for this piece, and this piece, but I'm accountable overall. So
Yeah.
your successes are my success.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
I'm successful, by definition, all of you have been successful. So we're in this together. Because I think the number one thing leaders are accountable for is putting their teams in a position to be successful. And given that their success is our success,
Yeah.
that's absolutely clear that that's our job. Put your team in a position where they can be successful. And if I put you in a position where you can be successful, what is the probability that you'll take accountability for that?
Sorry.
If I put you in a position where
Yeah.
you are going to be successful, do you think you'd be inclined to take accountability or not?
Well, depending on my task, I could be responsible for it or accountable
No,
for
but
it. But
yeah, but
I would do it. Yeah, I would do it.
accountability is about taking ownership for the outcome. So if I
Okay.
put you in a position where you can be successful, do you
So
think
no.
would
Yeah.
you take ownership of that?
No, it's he who put me in that position, right?
Yeah, but would you, if I put you in a position where you can be successful, are you going
Yeah.
to give 110%?
Oh,
Because
I see. Okay. Sorry, I was confused about.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
Now, if I set you up to fail, what is the probability of you taking any accountability?
Probably none. Zero.
Zero.
Yeah. I would go for
Absolute,
zero. Yeah.
absolute
It's
zero.
like it's your fault, man.
Yeah, and I speak with a lot of leaders, and they say, "Oh, my team have failed. It's their fault. They don't take accountability." And I will say, "What are the top 5 reasons why people fail to do a task?" And they'll say, "Well, They lacked clarity. They didn't have the time. They didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the tools or
Yeah.
resources. Okay. Anything else? They couldn't be bothered. Okay.
Okay.
4 of those are your job, because
Yeah.
you
As a
should give them,
manager, as a leader, that's your
you
job.
should give them clarity, make sure they have the skills, make sure they have the time, make sure they have the resources. So if those are the reasons why your team are failing, it's your failure, not theirs. If they choose not to be bothered,
Mm-hmm.
that's on them. But in my experience, when you set people up for success and you explain to them why it's important, 99.999% of the people will take the opportunity to be successful.
Yeah, I also believe in
Nobody,
adults working because they want to. Yeah, for sure.
nobody comes to work looking to fail.
Right.
Nobody.
That raises the question of failure, and I think it's a major question. Are people against working or against failure?
One of the things that I always say, it's one of my stock phrases is people are not afraid of hard work, they're afraid of failure. So if people think it's going to fail, why would they work hard on something that they think this has got no chance? Because it's just wasted effort. Whereas as leaders, if we can put our teams in a position where they think they're going to succeed and we can show them how to succeed and we give them everything they need, now they'll work hard to try and do it. So I think people are afraid of failure. They're not afraid of hard work.
So if you put them in the right conditions, they will do the hard work.
Correct.
They will succeed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know that if you do these 4 things and you'll get the result you need and you've got the tools and the resources, now you're empowered because you have everything within your need in order to go and be successful. And if it's something that you understand why it's important and it's something that you believe in, you'll go and do it. If you don't have everything you need, why would you work hard on that? Yeah, because you're staring defeat in the face. And there's nothing more than frustrating than working hard. And we're not talking about, sport where you're playing a tough team and you think, oh, I don't know if we'll beat these. That's different. You go out and you play your best and you may or you may not win. But if people think I've got no chance, I've no chance to succeed, they're not going to work as hard as they would if you think, I've got this. And another thing with accountability is we can make people responsible. This is your job, Arno, but you can't make people accountable, because accountability is about taking ownership, and it's on the individual to take ownership, to take accountability. But there is a way that we can help increase the probability of them taking accountability and ownership. And do you know what that is? It's a simple question we can ask.
What is it?
Do you have everything you need to be successful? Because once they say yes, they now see, I'm empowered. I've been set up for success. And a lot of people, so I always tell people, you should ask your teams that, because when they say yes, they've now taken ownership. I have everything I need. But a lot of leaders say to me, but what happens if they say no?
Yeah.
Well, be accountable.
Right.
And give them what
my work
they
is to
need.
put them in that position, right?
Yeah. Because if you don't put them in a position to succeed, if you put them in a position to fail and they fail, that's your fault.
That makes me think that I do have a trainee now working with me, and it's his very first job, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the habits of a long-term career and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm always reaching out to him, asking, do you know how to do it? Do you have what you need? Can I help you?
Yeah.
Trying to implement those ideas into his career, kind of teaching. And I'm amazed because I've heard so much about the new younger generations who want to know the why of the task and blah, blah, blah. And sure, it's important. But what I discover with this very young guy is that he does want to give his best every time, always.
Yeah. And just
at some point, let me finish with that. At some point, he was scared of a task because he didn't know how to do it, and I saw him blushing, and I was very cautious to put him in the right position, to be able to do the task, and then he did it. It was that easy.
Yeah. So the point I was going to make was, and I agree with everything you said. The point I was going to make is that that's got nothing to do with new generation. A lot of people ask me, how do you, what do you do differently to manage millennials, Gen Z, Gen X? I don't do anything. I don't do anything different. I put every single one of them in a position where they can be successful. And if I do that, 99.9% of the time they step forward and they'll be successful. A difference between the generations I find is that the newer generations are much more vocal if they don't have everything. Whereas before,
which is great for transparency, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whereas before, you might give somebody 70% of what they need, and they would just go, "I'll do my best." Yeah. But and I think it's the same with a lot of the leadership. Good leadership hasn't changed. What's changed is the willingness of the younger generations to tolerate poor leadership. They will speak up about it. So, we just need to be good leaders, set them up for success. They can take accountability, and accountability, in my opinion, is a difference between success and failure.
That is a great summary, and we'll leave people with that, I believe. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Gordon. It was great. If you liked this podcast, please subscribe, share or like, share it on your social medias. Send all your questions, send all your comments. We want to know about what you think about it. We want to take accountability and responsibility to make the best podcast about leadership we can. This was Fast Leadership Podcast with Arnaud and Gordon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.